In 1945, 5 Navy bombers disappeared during a routine mission over the Atlantic, sparking what we now call the Bermuda Triangle legend. But not all mysterious flights happened over vast oceans. Some took off and landed decades later. Or did they? Today, we're peeling back the layers of one of the most persistent aviation legends of all time. Flight 914, the plane that vanished in 1955 and allegedly landed 37 years later in 1992. The internet has turned it into a ghost story for the modern era. But what's the truth? Let's dive into the 5 biggest mysteries behind Flight 914 and whether it's just fiction or something stranger. The core of the Flight 914 mystery is astonishing. A Douglas DC-4 passenger plane took off from New York on July 2, 1955, heading to Miami. Midway through the flight, the aircraft disappeared from radar without a trace. No distress calls, no debris, just gone. Fast forward to 1992. According to some reports, air traffic controllers in Caracas, Venezuela were shocked when an unidentified plane suddenly appeared in their airspace without warning. The pilot reportedly said, "This is Pan Am Flight 914 from New York to Miami. Where are we?" Authorities were stunned. The aircraft landed. Passengers were said to be confused, wearing 1950s clothing, holding outdated tickets. Then, just minutes after landing, the plane suddenly took off again, vanishing into the sky. Here's the catch. No official record of this flight exists. No FAA documents, no Pan Am records, nothing in NTSB crash reports. And Pan Am ceased operations in 1991, a year before the alleged reappearance. So the first mystery is simple but haunting. Did Flight 914 ever even exist? Or was it an elaborate myth that grew legs and flew? Much of what we know, or think we know, about Flight 914 stems from one source, a tabloid magazine called Weekly World News. Published in the early 1990s, Weekly World News was famous for bizarre headlines like "Bat Boy Found in Cave" and "Hillary Clinton Adopts Alien Baby." Flight 914 first appeared in its pages in 1993, nearly 40 years after the alleged disappearance. The article included dramatized interviews with air traffic controllers and grainy photos of a DC-4 surrounded by police. It was the perfect storm of nostalgia, Cold War-era paranoia, and time travel intrigue. But here's a twist. The story was published as satire. The magazine never intended readers to treat it as fact. Still, the internet gave Flight 914 new wings. Websites, YouTube channels, and Reddit threads repeated the story, often citing it as a real mystery. So the second mystery is this. How did a satirical article become one of the most viral true aviation stories online? When a hoax travels faster than the truth, legends are born. Perhaps the most captivating element of the Flight 914 legend is its central supernatural idea that a plane and its passengers were somehow displaced in time. People love time travel. From The Twilight Zone to Back to the Future, the concept taps into something deep. Our fear of aging, our regrets, our longing to change the past. In fact, there's a real psychological phenomenon called chronesthesia, our ability to mentally travel in time. But could a plane literally slip through time? No known scientific principle supports this. But there are real stories of aircraft encountering strange phenomena. In 1970, pilot Bruce Gernon claimed that his Beechcraft Bonanza flew through an electronic fog over the Bermuda Triangle, and that he arrived in Miami 30 minutes faster than physically possible. He believed he passed through a time distortion. Skeptics blame instrumentation errors or atmospheric illusions. Still, these stories feed the third mystery. Why are so many aviation anomalies linked to time distortions? And why does Flight 914 resonate with that exact fear? We want to believe stories like Flight 914 because, tragically, aircraft really do vanish without a trace. Take Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370. In 2014, a Boeing 777 with 239 people on board disappeared en route from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. Despite international searches covering over 120,000 square kilometers of ocean, only small pieces of debris have been recovered. No clear answers, no final report that truly explains what happened. Or take Flying Tiger Line Flight 739, a U.S. military aircraft that disappeared over the Pacific in 1962 with 93 people on board. No wreckage, no distress signal, no trace. Mysteries like Flight 914 echo these real tragedies, but with a fantastical twist. What if they didn't crash? What if they went somewhere else? So, the fourth mystery is rooted in reality. Why do some planes disappear so completely? And could that explain the myth of Flight 914? Fact and fiction bleed together when the truth remains hidden. Let's talk about why people believe Flight 914 might be real. Psychologists have a term: cryptomnesia. It's when your brain recalls a story but forgets the source, so it feels like a real memory, even if it came from fiction. Combine that with confirmation bias, and you have a recipe for urban legends to thrive. You want to believe time travel is possible. You want to believe there's a world where no one ever dies in plane crashes. They just land decades later, safe and confused. Even the photos used in online stories about Flight 914 are usually stock images of unrelated aircraft. Some show DC-4s from completely different eras or airports, but because they're grainy and black and white, they feel authentic. We're wired to trust what looks old and official. And that leads to our fifth and final mystery. Are legends like Flight 914 created by hoaxes or by hope? The hope that missing people might someday walk back into our lives, unchanged, unaged, as if time never moved at all. Flight 914 may not be real in any measurable way, but stories don't need wings to fly. They just need a mystery that never lands.